Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Desmond Z. If this is the first time you've ever seen me. So, in today's video, I am here to talk about the British. We are here to talk about the British, okay? Somehow, some way, the last couple of books that I read, actually like the last 4 or 5, were all by British authors. So I decided, why not talk about the people on the other side of the pond, across the river, across the water, on the other side of the world. Unless you are watching this and you actually live over there, then it's not the other side of the world for you. It's your neck of the woods. But just go with me, okay? So this video, I will primarily be focusing on books by British authors that I have read recently, and some of my day ones, some of the ones that I read in the past that I actually really enjoyed. So let's just get into it. The Selfless Act of Breathing. Now, I have actually not finished this book, so it's not like a full review. Just know I ain't finished it yet. I actually got the audiobook and I was listening to that, and me and the narrator's voice just we weren't mixing. We were not getting along, okay? And there's no offense to that man and his voice, anything. I'm sure he's a lovely person. Lovely day. Lovely day. Lovely day. So I had to get the physical book. This book is about a man named Michael Kabongo. He is a British Congolese teacher living in London on the border of 2 identities. Okay? Michael's life is thrown into a tailspin after suffering a devastating loss. And because this is a harsh, bad world, Michael decides he is going to come to America. The mythical land of the free. Because, baby, let me tell you something. It's a myth, baby. It is a myth. Don't believe the hype. It's a myth. And he decides he is going to come to America and spend all his money, travel until all the money, live his best life until all the money runs out. And then, who knows? So, that is the Selfless Act of Breathing. I am only about a quarter ways through it. I have not gotten very far into it. But I will say, while I was listening to the narrator's voice, I know you British people. I know you British people. I know a lot of the British people like to say Americans can't do British accents. We only do one, and it's very stereotypical, and nobody actually talks like that. Y'all ain't too much better. Don't let the actors that be in the movies and on the TV shows hype you up, because they do a good job. Even though some of them words still be catching them up. Every time a narrator does an American accent, the way they do it, even if I have never heard this person speak before and they automatically come out the gate doing the American accent and I don't know they're British, I will know. I will know. It's always so pointed. Like each word is like too much enunciation. I can't even speak. It's too much enunciation, and it's too pointed. We went to the store, and like it's very, I can tell right off the bat. And then they only do one. There's a million different accents in this country, and y'all only do one, and it's very much given West Coast. Or y'all do the stereotypical Southern accent, and it's always very overdone. So don't toot y'all own horn too much, okay? Rootless. Now, I talked about this book in my DNF video that I posted like a couple of weeks ago, and I actually DNF Rootless, but I brought it back. The last couple of days, I've actually been reading that book, and it is not bad. I have said a million times before that sometimes I will spin the block. I'll come back around. And sometimes things work out for me. Now, I still stand on what I said. 10 toes. The beginning of that book was not good to me. To thy. Rootless is about a husband and a wife. The woman, the husband, what am I saying here? What am I talking about? I don't even know what the fucking book is about. The book is about a man and a woman. A husband and a wife. The husband comes home. He comes home one day to find out that his wife done up and left. She gone. Booked it. Okay? Left him there with their 4 or 5-year-old child. And he don't know what's up. But the author takes us back 20 years to when these characters were like 17, 18 years old, and they're basically living separate lives for majority of the book until we get about halfway through. But I've really gotten into it now that as we've gotten closer to the present day storyline, and we're talking about a woman who didn't want a family. She didn't want kids. She had hopes and other dreams and aspirations, and she loved this man. She wanted to be with him, but he kept forcing her, you know, we need a family, we need to have a baby, we need to do this, and we need to do that. He wanted her to be very traditional, and that's not what she wanted. Girl, you should have spoke up. You should have spoke up. Don't let no man hold you down like that. Don't let no man put you in a box. If you don't want no kids, you ain't gotta have them, girl. Clip, clip, bang, bang, tie that thing up. Don't let nothing come out of there if you don't want to, okay? So, we're talking about a woman and motherhood and a father who say he gonna do this, who say he gonna do that, telling his wife that, oh yeah, baby, I got you, I love you, I'm gonna be the best father in the world. And then when the baby come, you running down to the office. You working. And you want it all to be on her. What happened? What happened, Sam? What happened, Sam? Why you ain't here with this baby, Sam? Where you at, Samuel? Where you at? Perfectly Nice Neighbors. This book focuses on a family. What is the family name? The cartoon family, I believe is the family's last name. Our main character is Salma. Her and her husband and her like 18-year-old son moving to this neighborhood, you know, predominantly white or whatever, and their next door neighbor Tom Hutton is like he's a piece of work, to put it lightly. Okay, so they move into this neighborhood. The 18-year-old son, he puts out a Black Lives Matter flag. So one day they Salma notices that the family that the flag gets knocked down by the next door neighbor. She tell her husband, look, so-and-so done knocked this flag down. I saw him do it. And he's like, maybe it was an accident. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Maybe he didn't mean to do it. Maybe you're reading too much into it. Blase, blase. She's like, no, I know what I saw. I know what I saw, baby. Character Tom Hutton, he says to Salma, he's like, well, you're not even black. Why do you have a Black Lives Matter flag in your yard anyway? Why should it matter? Da-da-da-da-da. And talk about virtue signaling, you know, what it means to be an ally, and or am I doing this for the right reasons? I don't expect much when it comes to domestic thrillers. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that when I notice something is a domestic thriller, it's gonna be a typical neighborhood family drama, but with a little murder. Somebody got killed down to the block party, or somebody at your local YMCA, you know, comes up missing. That's what, you know, it's always just family drama, but a bit heightened when it comes to domestic thrillers. So I don't expect to be like thrilled and chilled. For the most part, I enjoyed this book. You know, it's got social commentary in there and stuff that's very prevalent to not only to today's world, but you know, the world as long as we've known it. I gave it like a 4 at like surface level, but like because of the ending, it was like a 3. Now let's talk about some of my favorites that I've read in the past by British authors. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop. I promise. As soon as y'all stop doing the Southern American accent. All the Lonely People Here. I have talked about this book before. I read this last year. It is a 5-star read for me. Every time this book comes up, people tend to compare it with A Man Called Uva, because it's basically about an old man living his life alone who's grumpy, and then his like neighbors and surrounding people start getting him to open up. So it is very similar to A Man Called Uva, which is also another one of my favorite books. I know how I feel about Frederick Bachman. But this is by Mike Gale, and it stands, and it deserves to stand all on its own without being compared to anyone else. So 5-star read for me, All the Lonely People Here. It is about an old man named Hubert Bird. He lives his lonely little life and just waiting for his daughter to call him so they can have their weekly little chat when she says she's coming to visit, and he's like, oh shit, because he's been telling her all these lies about, you know, oh, I do this every week, and I talk to these people, and I go down here, and I play tennis, and I run a 5K every weekend, and I climb mountains, and I live in this extravagant life. When in reality, he's just living alone in his little house by himself. So he quickly tries to like make friends and like, you know, build this life that he's been lying and saying that he's been living. And in this story, we have two separate timelines. The past is how he met his wife and of course had his daughter and what he was doing then. And then the present is him actually trying to, you know, get out of this little lonely crab shell he's been living in. And I love this book so much. I highly recommend it. 5 stars. Yinka, where is your husband? Yinka, where your man at, girl? Where is your man? I gave this book 5 stars. I love this book so much. This is one of my favorite books. I just simply adore this. I adore it. I read this book last year as well, and it is another 5-star read for me. I talked about how much I felt like I knew Yinka, how much she could be my big sister, my cousin, my friend, my co-worker. That's how much I enjoyed this book, and that's how real this character felt to me. It's about a 30-ish-year-old woman. I believe she's like at just 30 or 31. And everyone around her seems to just, you know, like getting married, getting engaged, or having babies. And she is more career focused. She can't find a man, but she also like, you know what? My life is, I'm good. But her mama and all the other aunties and stuff around her are not trying to hear that, and they keep forcing her like, girl, find a man, do this, your sister got a man, your cousin got a man, why you ain't got a man? And she starts to let that get into her head. She lets that get into her brain, and it rots, and she starts to just fall apart and starts to lose herself. She starts going on dates with men who don't deserve a second of her time. Okay? And now she's looking like Boo Boo the Fool because she let everybody get in her head and talk to her sideways and tell her what she should be doing with her life. And she's completely just falling apart. It was a very enjoyable experience, and I still quote this book to this day. What was my favorite part? Now I'm lying. I'm saying I still quote it to this day and I can't remember it. It's because I'm on camera. It's making me nervous. Wrong Place, Wrong Time. I read this book last year. I think I got this book like 4 stars, 4.5 stars. Wrong Place, Wrong Time. I love this book so much. Another one that I read last year. Last year was a great read. I read a lot of good books last year. Yeah. I know we don't compare, you know, we don't read just for like the stats, but I do read for quality. And I will say 2022's quality, I know the year's not over with, but I honestly, 2022's quality as far as my reading, yeah, it ain't. Yeah. 2023 is not comparing. It is not. It's no comparison. It's not comparing. Wrong Place, Wrong Time. This book is about a woman who is at home on Halloween. I think it's the day before Halloween, sitting in front of her window in her living room, and she is carving a pumpkin. Her husband come downstairs and he talking this, he talking that. They do a little flirty. Then he go back up to bed. As she's looking out the window, she see her son come up, who is past curfew, and this other man comes up behind him. So her son stabs him. The son goes to jail. He's locked up. She can't get him out. And she's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. So she has to go home. They like, go home, ma'am. There's nothing we can do for you tonight. He's staying here. Clink, clink, lock, lock. He ain't going nowhere, baby. So take your ass home and go lay down, girl. She get home, finally gets to sleep, wakes up. It's the previous day. And she like, what the fuck is going on? So every time she go to bed, she wait, and she's further back in time, a day further back in time, and she finally realized like, oh, I have to figure out what happened with my son, so you know I can get this mystery solved. I enjoyed, I won't say every bit of this, because I did get to a point in this book where I was like, okay, we went back just a day too much for me. We went back just one day too many, girl. Like at this point I'm tired. At this point, it's getting a bit repetitive, Can we please? Can we get back to the future? No pun intended. But overall, I enjoyed this book. I just felt like at some point, it got a little bit too much. It's like we were just going in circles a little bit. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend you read it if you have not. I enjoyed it. I can't speak for nobody else. The Other Side of Night. Did I read this year? I think I read this year. That was this year I read this, right? Hold on, let me check. It was this year. I read this back in March. I read 21 books in March. Like, I remember March was a good reading month for me because I remember, I don't know what it was, but it was like I was starving for literature. I was starving for the literature. And it was like every day. I was finishing books in one day. And like I would just eat them up every day. A book was read. A book was read. A book was read. What a time. What a time. Alright, so in this book, we've got this little boy named Elliot. His father just jumped to his death, right? And left him behind. Harry is a police officer who just got fired from the force or whatever, but she's still taking it upon herself to figure out what happened to this man, because nobody just does that for no reason, right? And then we have Ben. Ben and Harry actually went on a little date. They was you know, seeing each other for a little bit until he cut things off. She just started going, she's upset, she's angry, she's mad because this man said he don't want to talk to her no more. And it wasn't like he led her on or nothing. He just like, you know what, it's not true. It's me, it ain't working for whatever reason. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes we just got to cut our losses, you know? Move on. He was up front. He ain't lie, he ain't play no games, girl. But she blaming this man, talking about you broke my heart, and it's valid. If you got your feelings hurt because love has no time, then okay, girl. But please calm down. You can't blame that man. Just find you another one. Find you another one. But come to find out, Ben is actually Elliot's guardian now, ever since his papa done left this world. And she's like, okay, you know what? Actually, what's going on, Ben? I don't know about your backstory. I need to figure out what's going on with you. And that's pretty much all I can say about the book. Because it's one of those books where if you say too much, you start giving things away. I was a little iffy on this book at first. This is another one where I DNF'd, but I wrapped around. I came back, spun the block, and I ended up enjoying this so much after I got off that initial hurdle of just not, for some reason, the beginning wasn't clicking for me. But then in the end, like, one of my favorite books of the year, 5-star read for me. I don't even know if I initially gave it 5 stars. But as time has went on, in my heart right now in this moment, I feel like it was 5 stars. People person, this was not like one of my favorite books of the year. It wasn't like a 4 or 5 star read for me. It was more of a 3, 3.5. But I actually have a video talking about why 3 and 3.5 books, 3.5 and 3 and 3.5 star books are actually necessary. Not every book is just gonna knock it out of the park completely for you on a personal level, but somebody can find some enjoyment out of it, okay? And this was more of a 3-star for me. I enjoyed the overall story, but I feel like if our main character had not been our main character, this book would have been so much better. Because it's about 5 siblings who were not all raised together. They have a dad who's pretty much a philanderer. He got kids all over town. All of the siblings in this book were only together, all together one time in the past when they were like from ages of like 9 to like 19. And now everyone's like at the age from like 25 to 35. One of the siblings called and says, hey, I have an emergency, something really happened, I need your help, which brings them all back together. And drama ensues. There's comedy and, you know, just a bunch of secrets revealed. And I enjoyed this for the most part. It was cool. The Attic Child. This was the first book that I read this year at the top of 2023. This was the first book that I read and it was 5 stars, okay? The Attic Child. This is about a young boy named Celestine who is taken from his homeland in the early 1900s, and he ends up living in this attic with a colonizer. And fast forward to 1974, and this young girl named Laura is living in that same attic, and somehow these two people are connected, not just by this attic that they both get locked away in. Most times with me, with dual timelines, there's either one or the other. I said this before. There's one or the other that I'm more interested in, and in this one I was definitely more interested in the past storyline with Celestine and hearing his story. It just took me. It grabbed me by the throat and it didn't let me go. It just was dragging me along, and I was enjoying it. I thoroughly appreciated every part of that storyline. And then the present day storyline was good as well. It didn't grab me like the past storyline did. But would still recommend this. I mean, 5-star read. 5-star. And that is all the books that I have for you in this video. Yeah, I don't know why, but the last couple of books that I read, it was just coincidentally. coincidentally, like back to back, I was just reading books by British authors. And yeah, and if you'd like to see the flip side of this, because I did make a video about a book, trying to read a book from every state in the United States of America. I'll put the link for that up here. You want to see how we get down up in the US of A. I'm sorry, this is getting real patriotic, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I promise you, that's not where I'm trying to go with this. But that is it for me. That is all I have. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I thoroughly appreciate it. Subscribe if you are not. I thoroughly appreciate that as well. Send this video to a friend. Tell them to watch it. It's amazing. Tell them that, okay? But yeah, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next one. Shitty-o!